Hi folks, it's Will Stewart again. I had a little bit of time today, so I wanted to go ahead and put some blades on video just so everybody could get a better idea, you know, of size and feel, or what the blades look like in real life, so to speak. These unfortunately can't really include much of a demonstration portion, but I'm hoping that the videos will help out enough people before they buy if they're interested. This is a blade that's, I don't know if it seems to have recently gotten a whole lot of interest. I'm not sure why just recently, but it's the Blind Horse Knives Bushcraft knife. It's a interesting design. It's an original design. It's an extremely affordable piece. The fit and finish is pretty incredible at the price point, and it's always surprised me a bit that more people haven't picked one of these up. So let's get into it. This is the sheath that comes with. It's a simple JRE sheath with a fire steel loop positioned a little lower, with two eyelets for cordage or other attachments you might want. It's also got an attached dangler loop, which is a really neat option. It's well secured. It keeps it at a pretty appropriate height. And it can be folded back when you're wearing it on the belt if you just want to use the belt loop. I've done this before, and you really don't notice this. You just tuck it in behind, and it's a non-issue if you don't want it. If you really hate these, this is a simple screw, so you could detach it that easily. Detach that, and you know, even keep or get rid of this large D-ring. But it's a good sheath. JRE makes a good sheath. It's pretty deep. It comes to this last last piece of brass here, so it is pretty deep. The edge is convex, basically. A little bit of that's for me from stropping. It does come that way though from Blind Horse Knives. There's a pretty small distance between the first finger groove and the start of the edge, which is pretty nice. The steel is blued, which is very original, I think, to bushcraft makers. Not many people do that. You can actually see here along the handle where it's been kind of worn down to the bare steel, that bluing. It actually gives a pretty attractive finish, in that it's uneven. It makes it look even a little more maybe classic or antiqued. But they do come serial numbered. Mine has my wife's birthday, actually. I told her that was so that I could remember it a little more easily. It's a nice blade. It's got I believe it's a flat grind all the way down from the spine though. The spine is left quite crisp, which is important to me. I use the spine a lot for scraping up wood so it'll ignite easier, scraping up you know, different ignitable things, and using it on a fire steel. The point is in line with the center axis of the knife, which makes it pretty nice for drilling. It's not terribly pointy, and I don't know, almost obtuse, but not quite. But still works real well for drilling. You can see the length of the handle here. I'm going to place it here just so you can get an idea of the length. But it comes in right at about 8 1/4 inches overall. The cutting edge, not the full length of the blade, mind you, but the cutting edge is about an even 4 inches, and there's about a 1/4 inch gap right there between the handle and the start of the cutting edge. The handle itself, see if we can show a thickness there, is at the widest point at the butt probably just shy of 3/4 inch. However, up near the tip it probably comes down to just under a 1/2 inch. I have notoriously, I don't know, large hands, I guess, or at least picky hands, and for me it does get a bit small up here at the first finger area. You'll notice that the scales both get a little bit thinner there, and then there's also a very healthy finger groove. To my mind, if they had even left out this finger groove and kept a bit of the thickness, I think it might be perfect. I might even down the road see if I could talk the people at Blind Horse Knives to doing me sort of a one-of or a custom, and just leaving off that bit of work. So I think that would be easier for them instead of less easy. But overall, though, it's still not at all uncomfortable. It's thicker towards the butt than it is at the front, which is not necessarily my favorite, but it's still pretty comfortable. The nice thing about having it thinner up here or smaller in circumference is that it's more comfortable in a variety of grips. Side grips and reverse grips for draw cuts, things like that. This is a very, very comfortable knife and all those things. So for those of you who don't always use a simple hammer grip, this is probably going to be an ideal knife. For those of you who do, if you have even medium-sized hands, I think it's also going to be a very comfortable grip for you. If you have particularly large hands, it becomes a little more gray, but it's still certainly not that uncomfortable to use. The scales are a very, very handsome maple. I understand just from their website that they get these from a gun stock maker somewhere, I believe out west. But it does show. It's really just handsome scales. You probably can't see it well, but they have a lot of depth to them, a lot of movement. Tiger striped, very, very handsome. This one is one that is a looker and just fits very well in the woods. There's a lanyard tube, 2 brass pins, and it's a quality blade. This is just next to a Mora 510 for comparison. It's about the most common knife I have that would be useful. You can see that the kind of the thickness here, the width here, is not terribly different than the 510. This is certainly the 510 is probably a small knife overall in the handle. It's just not very big. So this is not very big here. It does have a slightly wider blade. This is just a shade wider than my thumb, which is I like to call my thumb width sort of my max on what I would consider a good bushcraft knife to be. The Mora is a shade under that. Blade length is a little longer. Handles are about the same length, and the thickness you're going to find a bit more obviously on the Blind Horse knife. But these come in at about $100, which just is amazing. The fit and finish is great. The scales are well polished. The scales are even. The grinds are even. There is no ill-fitting portion to this. The scales are perfectly matched to the tang. It's all smooth and flush, and it's got a good edge. It's not a great edge as far as cutting efficiency, just because that convex edge is meets up with a bit of shoulder. If you wanted to take some time with some stones or even sandpaper, you could get that into a pretty even convex edge that would meet to your flat grind, and I think you'd have a really superb cutter. This one doesn't see an extremely large amount of dirt time compared to some of my other knives, but still a winner, and it's a solid knife. So if those of you who haven't picked one up, I can easily recommend it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave me a message on my YouTube page. You can email me, or you can catch me on any of the forums, usually Bushcraft USA or Blade Forums, Wilderness and Survival Area, or the Shotgun Shack. So thanks for checking in, and I will talk to you guys later on. Take care.